Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reels and Heels. I'm your host, Brian, and as you see, Nicole's not here right now. She'll be joining us when she gets back. But today is going to be an interesting episode. Today is our first episode. We're actually broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time using this great software called...
This is live?
Oh, I
This
forgot.
is live?
I forgot to tell him.
Oh, God, I would have put pants on.
Whatever you do, don't stand up.
Oh, man, it'll be like the Ray Stevens. Don't look, Ethel.
I'm sure he's wearing such great underwear, though. Underoos?
Underoos? Buckaroo Banzai, baby.
Yeah. So this is episode 13, and we're going to be discussing Mortal Kombat and martial arts in film in general. And we got two very special guests. And, of course, we're joined by Willow, our Canadian co-host, rocking the Stormtrooper there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Canada.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any Mortal Kombat shirts, which I will rectify that as soon as possible.
You said moral combat, right?
So as you see, we're joined by Mick Strawn, who is a production set designer, artist, you name it in Hollywood. Whatever they need him for, they hire him.
He'll do anything for money.
But I won't do that.
As the song goes, right?
There you go. Exactly.
Little meatloaf.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so honored to be in the presence of Master Pesina, who is a legend in the Mortal Kombat world. You may recognize him from Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 as Johnny Cage, as well as the ninjas. And I believe there was a couple added ninjas in the second one.
It was a cheap way. It was a cheap labor to just go ahead and try to create like five. Literally, we created like 3 for the first game and like 5 for the second game, just because it was so easy to do. Kind of just like, hey, just while you're at it, make 5 more up. You know how that goes. But hi, also to Terry. Terry is our first guest.
Oh yes, Terry. Yeah, Terry's our super fan from Ireland. He's also part of the team. He's always here. He's sharing the links and all that. So we got to give much love to Terry.
You guys know that Terry's imaginary, right?
Oh. Wait a minute.
We never see Brian and Terry in the same room. Oh, wait. Yes, we do.
Hello.
As you see me. No.
The jig's up.
Yep.
So we're going to start with Master Pesina. Before we get into the Mortal Kombat thing, where did the whole like martial arts and all that begin for you?
A long time ago, there used to be a program. It was in black and white. And it was Charlie Chan, the detective.
Oh, I just ordered it. I'm
did you
literally waiting for all 64 original films to come to my door.
Man, I'm gonna order. My father and I used to watch that on Sunday. Here in Chicago, it was on a Sunday.
Amazing.
And then one time, I see Charlie Chan throw this big stunt guy. Naturally, it's a stunt guy, but at the time, you don't know it's a stunt guy.
Right.
But he used a judo throw, and I was like, "Whoa, holy cow! I want to learn how to do that." And then my dad was like, he served in the U.S. military, and he was just like, "I could teach you that." So my dad actually taught me my first throw. He taught me my first throw, and I wanted to learn more. And my dad's like, "I don't really remember anymore." I think it's just he didn't want to be flung on the floor anymore in reality. But he was just like, like that. And I kept on bugging him for years and years. And so eventually I bugged him enough for him to take me to martial art lessons.
Oh, that's awesome. And, I wasn't around when those were out, but I did see those. And those were actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed watching those.
Now, are you talking about the movies or the TV series?
TV.
The TV series, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The TV series with his nut. Then he'd have guest star. Remember, we had guest stars like number 2 son, number 10 son.
Yeah,
like
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was between 11 and 16 was how many, depending on the film, on how many sons he was supposed to have, right?
Yeah. But they had him younger, older. But that, it was good times. Those are always like the throwbacks. I'm going to actually order the set. It's always just to reminisce, you know?
Well, you know, you can always borrow Mick's.
Coming in the mail, and I think tomorrow or the next day. Swear to God. I swear to God. But I go back to the old black and white movies, though. I mean, there were, I think there were 47 original movies that were done. Charlie Chan was played by like 5 different people. What does that sound?
Someone's happy.
Someone's happy. So before we go any further here, I did want to mention that we did have a contest and we have a winner picked from that. And I actually gave the winner to Master Pesina. Would you be honored to give us our winner?
And the winner is, drum roll. Mick will do the drum roll. So, Duncan Gravely, get over here.
Oh, congratulations, Duncan. I'll be reaching out to you with that movie.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was either drum roll or bass roll because Mick, you make basses, right?
I do. How did you know that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
Because he's a cyber stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen some pictures of those? Or?
Yeah, those are freaking awesome, man.
Thank you.
Before we were having a conversation just on your work in general, and I'm like, man, I'm a fan of that. I love that movie. I was like, oh my God.
You know, I was very fortunate to be kind of in the right place for just a string of movies that people still remember. And I have to tell you the truth. I mean, very much like the PlaySafe thing. I didn't know any of this until like 5 years when I had kind of like retired, and my sister and I kind of were partners for a while, and then we were partners in real estate and so forth in LA, and we worked together on and off. And she died in a plane accident 6 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
When she died, I kind of rolled everything up and I moved to Washington because, you know, LA is to make money, not to spend it. I moved to Washington and then Tennessee to follow my grandchildren around. What was that?
I have my 6-year-old in the background. I'm sorry.
That was foreground, my friend. So closed it all off, and now I live in Tennessee, and I get to. And the thing is for the longest time I had no idea that when you're in the bubble in Hollywood, you know, you don't know kind of what your relationship is to anything else.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you're not. What did you do yesterday? What did you do this week? Is the only thing you ever think about, right? You never think about history, or I don't think about history. It's just never been a thing for me.
Well, that town is because it's such a big industry there. They don't really care about what you did. They don't care if you're a legend, you know.
You wouldn't know. I mean, I didn't know. I'm not kidding. So I finally, I had a Facebook account for years and I had like never looked at it. Right. And so I finally looked at my Facebook account when I got my first iPhone, like just after CJ died, and I moved up to Washington. And I'm not kidding. I looked at my account and I honestly hadn't looked at it in 7 years. And I looked at it and somebody was on there that says, "Hey, you're this big inspiration to me, and I live in Brazil." And I took my phone into my wife and I said, "Hey, check this out." I started laughing, and I swear to God, I was, and it shocked me that there were like people who actually knew my name. Freaked me out. And then some guy goes like this. He goes, I go, well, why is it that you know my name? And he goes, dude, he said, I had a Nightmare on Elm Street 4 poster right over my bed, and your name was literally what I fucking woke up to every morning. Right there. I was like, oh.
So, that's awesome.
Go figure.
Yeah. But that, that too helps you, keep your sense of humor and grounded.
Yeah,
and you're like, we're on this show, and you're like a regular person. You're not
wait, I'm a legend. Wait a minute. I'm a legend. What the hell is wrong with you? I laugh at everything. You know what? You know what you usually hear right after the words? Well, you're a legend, right?
That's when you become a real legend.
That's what I was going to say. You're never going to be an actual legend if you're breathing.
Right. That's the way it goes. The artists are always like that. They're never famous until they're dead.
Absolutely. Absolutely not.
Oh my God. So, Master Pesina, when did the road start to Mortal Kombat? Like, when did you get involved?
When I first, and in reality, the guy who came up with who was the main creator of Mortal Kombat, John Tobias, would draw, by hand at my mom's kitchen table with my brother and a couple other friends when he was really young. So naturally, I come in and slap them all on the head and stuff and goof around like that. But I would know them, and they. So a little while later, the road was actually like, he called me up and he's like, "Hey," he's in college, and he was like, "I have a project for school. I want to film like an old kung fu movie. Will you help me do that?" And I was like, "Okay, sure. I do martial arts. I'm going to film this." With the basically it's like an 8mm or whatever at the time they get at art school. They hand the students to go film a movie. So we're going to move this movie, but on our way to do the movie, we get an accident and we get a spin out, and the car is total, and we never got to do the movie. And then but I got to know John there. We were sitting on the side of the road without a car. And, almost the guy who played Kano, who came up with Kano and who actually created the phrase "get over here," almost died in it because the smash was like 6 inches away from his seat, and that side was just totally crushed. I don't even know how nobody got hurt. It's just some kind of luck. But then years later, he calls me up again. I've just finished doing stunts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and he's like, "Hey, can you help me? I have this idea for this game. I want to pitch it to this company I work for, Midway Bally's Games." And I was like, "Sure, let's work on this thing." So that's how I got the intro to it.
Wow.
Cool.
Look at that.
Woohoo! So make it fancy.
My favorite game in the 90s as a child was Mortal Kombat. So being here right now is just like, I just want to sit here and listen to you guys talk. I have really no questions to ask. So I'm just.
Wow. And speaking of Mortal Kombat, my kids were just playing before we went live on the Xbox. We have Mortal Kombat XL. Because I haven't gotten the new 11 yet, which I do want to get because of RoboCop and Terminator and stuff. But just to see where the franchise has gone, and still relevant today is just crazy.
Yeah, Well, you get a lot of you get it going, and then you get a lot of different creative inputs. It's grown a lot, and it's good. People still enjoy it, which is like kind of a miracle.
Yeah,
there's Mick wiping his face with his $100 bills. He uses them as Kleenex. He rolls out $100 bills. He goes like this, just throw them away.
Okay. Okay. Now, you want to hear the connection? You want to hear the connection between me and you? This is a good one. You're going to like this. Okay. So, I have a friend of mine calls me up. He's a producer friend of mine. He calls me up, and I'm driving across town or something, and I was just absolutely in between two films, right? And so I get this page back then, pagers, right? And I get to the nearest phone booth, and he goes, I know you're not doing anything. He says, I need you to come and tell me something. He says, meet me at such and such a Burbank. The thing is the labs. You know, the labs that developed the film. They had rooms. Somebody else hear that?
No.
Sorry, let me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They had rooms where you could where you projected films, right? And so I meet him there, and we're going to watch a film. So he goes, you have to tell me what's wrong with this film. I said, okay. And he shows me this film. There's something going on in the background I can't hear. Is that just me?
No, I could barely hear you.
What is going on, guys?
I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, there you go. Whatever it was, there you go. Okay.
Wow, it was Willow.
So, wow, that's so quiet now. So, he shows me this film, and it's mostly complete. And then he shuts it off and he goes, okay. He says, what is wrong? What are we missing here? Because it was really boring. And it was Mortal Kombat. And he goes, you got to help me. What have we done wrong? And I go, well, here's the thing. What you've done is you've actually made a game that you're back in again. What does that sound?
My camera, my microphone and my camera seem to be trying to cancel each other out. So I'm sorry.
You got to turn one of them off because it's so loud. I can't hear myself. It's louder in mine than it is in anybody else's, I think. Nope,
it's still going.
It's still going. Wow. Now
it sounds like an ice cream truck.
I know what that is. Hold on, I'll be right back.
It sounds like an ice cream truck.
It literally sounds like an ice cream truck is driving through my brain.
Yeah. Pick me up a strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah, please.
So, anyway, I watched this film, and he's going, listen, we've got to find out what's wrong. And I said, well, here's what you're missing. If you look at a film like now it's a hum. You got to kill.
Does that sound better?
No, not at all.
Oh, it's a hum. Yeah, it might be. I think it's on you, Willow.
Okay.
Yeah. No, whatever it is, it's on you. Now okay. Anyway, I can hardly hear myself. The hum is so loud in my ears.
There it goes.
There you go. There you go. It's gone. So, oh my God, that's such a relief. I wish I had worse earphones because then it wouldn't matter that much. So I say, the problem is you have these great locations and you have a great look to it. John Leonetti was the DP. I said, but the thing is what happens is you have these fights in the middle of these great locations and then you just kind of go from fight to fight to fight, right? And it looks like a game, but it's a movie. And a movie is much more interesting than whatever you're trying to do here. And he goes, well, how do we fix that? And I said, well, I got a couple of ideas. So then we went in and we did a reshoot 4 months later, about 4 months later. Okay. And what I did was I wrote a sequence that at one point, the Scorpion, there was a fight in a grove, right?
Oh, yeah.
Said, okay. So what we did is I sat with Robin, okay, and we worked out an entire sequence where the set was interacting with the people. What I was telling with, I said, well, think of the Princess Bride, for instance. When you watch the Princess, and when you watch the Princess Bride, like for instance, the fight scene in it is amazing, right?
Yeah.
But why is it amazing? It's amazing because the first thing that you remembered was the fight scene, the sword fight scene, right?
Yeah. I am also left-handed.
Right. Right, exactly. But you remember it because of the way that it's choreographed and the set is involved. It's man, that goes all the way back to like early Robin Hood stuff, like the black and white Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Where the Basil Rathbone and Errol Flynn are fighting, and they fight up the staircase and they fight around. And this movie had none of that. It literally was like two people fighting like this in amongst these great sets. And I said, okay, let's take the Grove with Scorpion, the fight in the Grove. We're going to eliminate it. And what we did is we eliminated it with what I call an optical asshole. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Robin and I go out and I say, okay, let's choreograph this entire sequence again. Okay. And we choreographed the whole sequence with steel scaffolding. Right. And we did it I put the steel scaffolding in literally a place that where blimps were made in Van Nuys. Right. So it was 150 feet tall.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah. And 200 feet long and 130 feet wide. Right. We blacked it out. And I put this enormous steel scaffolding up there. And I had a National Geographic, and I hate to say that it was like this is where my inspiration was I read this article in a National Geographic. I was desperately looking through National Geographics, and I saw one where these people in an island nation, somewhere in the Pacific, they buried the bodies of their kings on this particular cliff side up above the ocean. And they actually maintained they had to go up these ladders, these bamboo ladders, and it was all bamboo scaffolding. And I went, that's what I'm going to do. And we literally, this boat came in that was taking bamboo from China to Hong Kong. It just come into the dock, and we went down and we made a deal, and we took 10 truckloads right off of this boat.
You gave him $5.
Yeah, $5 probably. Yeah.
Right?
Well, I had a kind of a whatever the fuck you want to spend, you can spend limit because this film looked like shit.
Well, you got to save the movie. Yeah, they're going to say yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so we went down there and we sorted all this bamboo from small to the largest, and we put the smallest. And we just started with a whole fleet of condors. You know what a condor is?
Yeah.
It's an enormous lift. And we went from 120 feet all the way down, smallest to the biggest. And then we and we built all these ladders, and we put all these bearers, that are made out of like ladder structures. So we put the bodies of the dead kings on it. And here's the great thing is, it was all put together with zip ties. The whole thing was put together with zip ties, and we couldn't really put a huge amount of weight on it. So what we did is we went out and at one time we went into the town, went to every X-rated film store, and bought plastic fuck dummies, right? And we had everyone that was in LA. We had 60 of them, right? And we blew them all up, and we wrapped them in bandages and cobwebbed them, put them all over. So what you're looking at when you look at that amazing scene is you're looking at all these fuck toys up there, right? So then we choreographed, but here's the thing is that was the first scene in the movie that was actually choreographed. The rest of it was just kind of, fighting, right? You know, but remember the scene where he falls down? Yes, that was a trip. That was called a trip. And it was held up here, and we pulled it, and like that huge 30-foot steel post comes down. And so we wrapped all the steel to look like the bamboo also, and we put all this bamboo in there, and the sequence was choreographed to go down through it. And so and we couldn't do in optical in there because we didn't have really the time. The only optical that we had was the skull blowing up, right? And the optical asshole at the very beginning of it. But we also did that. Also there's a set in there, and I don't know who the guys are that are fighting, but there's a big blade that circles around like this, and we did that blade, and we did that sequence so that you would have interaction between them and what was going on. And so here's the great addendum story to that. So I create all that stuff. It's a few years later. I think I got some kind of I didn't really get a credit for it because I really couldn't insert myself into there. I got a credit on the film of like art department coordinator or something like that. But that's all I did was those sequences, right? And here's the weird thing is a year later, maybe a year and a half later, I go down to I was living in Redondo Beach, and I go down to the liquor store on the corner. And the liquor store in the corner to like get a soda. And when I do, they just put a Mortal Kombat game in there that had that set in it.
That is awesome.
That's
Oh my God.
cool. And now no fans out there will ever look at that set the same.
There you go. And good reason too.
Yeah.
They were clean. I mean, they were clean.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything.
No.
Yeah.
My
Oh
God.
no.
But it's pretty funny, you know what I mean? How just to create too, you have to do it. I mean, if you're, you got to think of a creative way to get it done to make it that connection.
You got to do it. And the thing is I was right because the thing I had all these friends that worked in that work in the business that saw the movie, and as they're walking out, I'm shaking hands with people and there's people coming up to me going, you did that, right? That's one with that looks so much like you.
Yeah, right. What you would create. Yeah. And it doesn't look like any of the rest of the film either. I will totally admit to that. Yeah, but it makes it more dynamic. It's
the dynamics that the film was the dynamics, and we also did a lot of little inserts of like actually trying to like make it look like things were,
happening. Yeah,
happening, which wasn't before, and so the Mortal Kombat. That's my connection to you that you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
And now everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone.
I can attest to your story that sex dolls make good mummies. One of my friends for our steampunk event had created a mummy out of a sex doll. She bought a sex doll, used she cleaned it up. Don't get me wrong and all that, but she actually did like the whole paper mache, covered it up, and
we didn't even do that. The great thing about the stuff that we did is if you went on the other side of the set, they were looking at you. I mean, literally, there were some wigs and things like that. But if you went,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that scene again now.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, it really holds up, and part of it is the fact that it was the whole. There's no optical in it. There's you're just looking at the set, but the set was just way cool. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah.
Oh,
Very good.
There you go.
Now you're giving everybody ideas for Halloween. No, we got how to use sex dolls, but not for sex.
Sex dolls are freaking expensive, though.
Well, yeah.
Well,
No,
maybe
you are not kidding. Look,
in the U.S.
I am not kidding. They were between $30 and $60 back then. I mean, we spent a lot of bread on that, and it literally, I'm 100% sure that the entire town was out by the time that we were done, because it isn't like any one of those places had more than 5, So I mean, I had PAs going, really?
Yeah, driving around town.
You want how many? Are you out of your fucking mind?
We'll take them all.
Yeah, this is in a town that you get about 3 runs a day. I mean, you could go to 3 places in a day. That's all you could do, right? And so people that are coming back and they've got like 12, and you're going, yeah, okay, I need 50 more. Really? Shit.
Could you imagine being pulled over and having
Yeah.
Do they all have a seatbelt?
Yeah. Rubber lives matter.
Right.
I don't think it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing.
So
it's classic.
Oh my God.
It adds a new word to classic.
Hey, now wait a minute.
Carpooling at that point, right?
So I told Brian that this was going to be this is going to be a blow-away story. Okay, right? Okay, Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, that was definitely a blow-away story.
Literally.
Yeah. Didn't expect that, did you?
Oh my
God. And you heard it here.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, I think you just found a new hashtag too.
Yeah.
So going back to the creation of the first game, what were your expectations of the game in general? Like, did you even think it was going to be what it was?
No, because when we were making it, what happens is we pitched the game idea to Midway, and then Midway said no the first round. They actually didn't think it was going to be again, it was all about getting quarters, because there wasn't really a home market yet. So it was all about making the quarters. So right. They were just like, that's not, fantasy fighting game. We would like, they were like, what it would sound even better if we had a mainstream fighting game with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So they canceled our game to go pursue Jean-Claude Van Damme. So later on that fell through, and then I got a call. Hey, we're gonna do our game, but we're only gonna do 200 cabinets. And I was like, okay. And then John, my friend John, was just like, and we can't pay you a lot. So I was just like, he goes, but whatever you want in the game, whatever ideas you have for the game, we'll make them work and we'll put them in the game. And so I was like, well, that's pretty cool, because I just figured like, well, I get some creative experience, making this game and stuff like that. So So yeah, I got to throw some ideas. So
that's great.
Yeah, so we just pulled a bunch of ideas together. Like one of the ideas I had was John had these Japanese ninjas, and I was like, you know what, John, it's the 90s. 80s and 90s, everything's Japanese ninja. And then I told them the story about the Lin Kuei, and I was like, we need to change the Japanese ninjas into the Lin Kuei, and they have a different look, and it'll make the game really unique. Nobody's ever put them in actual movie at the time, or any media at the time. So John was like, okay, I could do that, because, again, that, I get some creative input. So, and in the end, that turns out to be like one of the most, for the franchise, their face is Scorpion. That's, that's the guy that I put in there. Yeah.
It was that mask with the lion and all that, right?
Yeah. And the shoulder pad things.
Absolutely.
Like that. Yeah.
No, absolutely iconic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we didn't really, I didn't really think it was going to be, because they said 200 games. I was just like, okay, but I always thought it'd be cool, but I didn't think it would really get out there.
Yeah. I think they were looking probably for a game to rival Street Fighter.
Right.
Yeah, we were trying to get into that. John was trying to get into that market. But again, with 200 games, you can't really do that. We're just going to do
that's not going to
we didn't even talk about going to home or anything like that, but once it tested, they got a pre-order of 10,000.
Oh,
wow.
Pre-order of 10,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Sega was the first one to jump on to actually have it on console, right? I think so, because they were all right with the blood. We put the John really wanted to have the blood in the game. And so I think that really sold like at that time, that was really unique. There was there wasn't really another game with fighting and blood. There was a couple other games where they had kind of like when you smash into things, somebody exploded, but basically that was it.
Right.
No, there wasn't any, as far as I recall, there wasn't any in the 90s. I played a lot of fighting games as a kid. It started off with Double Dragon and went to Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, just like I sold my soul to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing all those games. Like, I'm a huge fighting game fan. So, like, I was playing like Fatal Fury and King of Fighters and, Virtual Fighter and all that stuff. But Mortal Kombat is something like on another level. Like, I know Street Fighter had their first game, but they didn't become like a huge popular thing until Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, I literally the last game I played, and I told Brian this was either Zaxxon or Tempest. So
yeah. I like it. But the Tempest with the ball, not the Tempest with the
No. The ball was
it's the spinning, because I saw recently I saw a Tempest at an event, but they had the joystick, and I was like, how do you do that?
Oh,
the joystick,
wait.
You got to have the ball.
The worst is there's a Tempest version for an iPhone, and all you do is you're just beating your phone up.
Yeah, then you're gonna need a new phone,
I won the game, but I down $700. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, I have to take off. I have another show happening. It was
okay.
Hey, Master, great meeting you. You DM me so that we can talk at some point.
Yeah.
Brian, we've got things to talk about.
Yeah.
It
was really nice meeting you. Thank you so much for the story of creating, Canadian legend of Astra.
Yeah. Wait.
No,
hey guys.
You're the last show to have him on the live. Holy cow.
Oh, Mick's so fun. Like, he was on our TV show episode, and he was a hoot on that. And we're actually going to have him back again. But
yeah, he's a legend. I wanted him to talk about the hidden, about freaking the entity, like we were talking about before. That was scary as hell.
Oh, yeah,
Nightmare's a classic that keeps everybody up, because if you fall asleep, Freddy will get you. Man, he's like, and he's a down to earth, really funny, down to earth guy. Man, you can go out to a bar and hang out with him for hours.
Oh yeah, he's the kind of guy that you want to have at the campfire, you know.
Yeah.
So, when you were doing the game, did all the characters already have backstories, or was that something you guys kind of just came up with on the fly?
The backstories were really, really light. Because it was like the whole story wasn't created yet. So like Johnny Cage was going to be originally Johnny Cage was modeled after Daniel Rad from Iron Fist, and then we threw a little satire into it, Jean-Claude Van Damme, because he said no to Midway with that other game. So it's kind of like a character that's mixed, but basically. John put me in front of a camera and he's like, okay, you're a Hollywood actor. And I was like, okay. And he's like, okay, do something. And so I just started doing stuff. He's like, okay, I want you to walk out and take a fighting stance. So I walked out and I kind of waved. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's really good. And so we did that a few times. We looked at it and it just kept on going. And then so all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got to wear sunglasses. So we borrowed some sunglasses and we're walking down. And then, I'm with the sunglasses like this and I pull them out and I put them on. And in the end, I did the whole thing. So most of from number one, most of the people who, the actors co-created the characters, like we had free reign with moves. We had free reign with, it was just like, hey, we need something cool. Okay, we're going to do this.
Well, did you feel that Johnny Cage, kind of like in the movie, he was an actor that, always was reading about himself, oh, this guy's a fake? Did you kind of have that in your mind that this, like, he's a movie star, but he kind of wants to prove himself? And did you have a fighting style in mind for him?
At the time when we did the first one, Johnny Cage was a little more serious.
Okay.
Because, we didn't, they didn't break off into him being like a more, of a goofy guy until later, I guess, just developing different characters and personalities. That's just what they did. But again, it was like in number one, it was all done because that's all we had was that thing of the story. He's just a Hollywood actor. So the whole hero he was going to be Liu Kang's second. So Liu Kang was going to, you know how you have the hero and then you have the hero's partner, in all the movies. So Johnny Cage was going to be Liu Kang's partner, like to defeat, to win for Earthrealm, in which we didn't really have Earthrealm. We were just like, we were going to win for humanity. So we didn't have all that stuff. We didn't, when we were filming, he didn't really even have a name. We used to call around and Raiden had a name, was the only one who had a name. But we all would always use our own names for it. Rich, Rich, who was Kano. He wasn't really Kano. He was just Rich. And then, Sonya wasn't really Sonya. Sonya was Liz. Hosung was Liu Kang, but we just called him Hosung. Just so it's just kind of like that. Just create it like on the fly as we were doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I look at the character of Raiden and I see a little John Carpenter inspiration, maybe.
Yeah, well, that is because, Tobias wanted it to be the Japanese god of thunder. And so when he asked my brother Carlos, who's Raiden, to do it, that's where Carlos decided, because he was a big fan of Big Trouble in Little China. So John was like, okay, do something cool. So all of a sudden, Carlos is pulling from that movie because that's where he had that inspiration from. So it's kind of not intentional on Tobias's end, but for the creation, since the actor got to create the personality and the movements, it is that on that end. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, every time I watch that movie, I'm like, oh, look, it's Raiden.
Yeah. He really did like a lot of, a lot of tributes to it, and just different movements. in it are from old kung fu movies. So yeah, it's like all the creations are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, look what happened with Johnny Cage. He finally hooked up with Sonya and they had a daughter.
Yeah, right. The story goes, right?
Yeah. So when the first game became a blockbuster and a huge cult following, what did you feel when they said, "Hey, let's do a part 2"? Were you like first on board, or
they were talking about 2, but Tobias at that time, as I recall, wasn't keen on doing number 2 because he was just like, I already created the best fighting game ever, but Ed, who was like a programmer and producer of the game, was like, oh, we got to do a number 2 again, because it's all about the money, for the company. So, they knew if they came out with a number 2, they were going to, make it big. And John was always just more of a creative. So he was more of the creative guy, not really the business guy like Ed was. So he was like, why do I want to make a 2 when I already made the best fighting game ever? So, but eventually, with stuff like that and the creation and doing stuff like that, he was like, okay, I'm going to come on board for 2.
Yeah. I do like too that the added stuff like the fatalities seem to get more brutal.
Yeah, well, originally, like a lot of even what I see now, when I see some of the ideas now, we had so many ideas for number 1. Like we wanted X-rays in number 1, we wanted tag teams in number 1. Originally, each character was going to have 3 fatalities. Johnny Cage's first fatality, I wanted Johnny Cage to jump up in the air and punch a hole in the guy's head, and they turn toward the camera and you see a hole in his head. So I understand they do that now, but that was on the first game. And then the second one, I wanted them to, the energy level, the life level got so low that he dropped to his knees, and then I'd just pummel him, and then I'd punch his head off. And then in the end, John was like, we better shoot a simple one. So I was like, you know what? I really just want to punch somebody's head off. So that's how those 3 versions of the fatality was how original one. So tag teams were in the first one. We had secret characters already wanting to be like Carlos and Rich wanted to be only characters that strictly can fight tag team. So you had Raiden and Kano fighting in Tangent like a kung fu movie. They wanted that, but it was like we had so many different ideas for the first one that came out later and all the other ones. So it grew.
Yeah, in the series, I want to say it was also one of the first games that have like the secret codes, right?
Yeah.
For a fighting game.
Yeah.
Because the blood code, that's what's really famous. Everybody knows blood code.
Yeah. The blood codes or anything like that. And then I see a question from Boris: $500 sunglasses. The Johnny Cage's original sunglasses were like $8. We went to a sporting goods store here in Chicago. It was on like on Broadway and Belmont. There was a big sporting. But anyway, we went there. John and I went in there, and we were just trying on sunglasses, and we were not looking for the most expensive sunglasses because we didn't have a budget. But so in the end, I think the sunglasses cost $8. So yeah. So
well, I mean, you're gonna get them to crush the glasses. You don't want to spend that much money on a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah,
that's just gonna end up being broken.
Yeah, well, even Johnny Cage's costume came from my house. It wasn't like it wasn't purchased costume or anything like that. Carlos, I recall Carlos really wanted to add the leg bands because it was like breakdance. When he would breakdance, he would put these leg bands on so he wouldn't trip over the bottom of his pants, so they'd held tight. So he added them to Raiden's costume. So everybody was kind of adding whatever they had or kind of putting stuff together for it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about post Mortal Kombat 2 and that whole. I mean, I know it's out there. What happened where you kind of didn't come back for the third?
Yeah. So again, when I went, my original agreement was to do 200 arcade cabinets, and I was kind of like, those guys, I would goof around with them and say, we're going to do 201 cabinets because I want a cabinet. And they were like, we're only doing 200. We promise, because they're so expensive. There's no way we're going to give you a cabinet. So we're only going to do 200. So when we went in and then they pre-sold 10,000, I approached John and later Ed, and I was like, hey guys, you said 200 cabinets. Now you're going to make pre-sold 10,000 cabinets. And then John basically was like, don't worry, they are going to give you a bonus. I'm sure they're going to give you a bonus, something like that, because I was there for like helping to create like how, John and I spent 5 days in the studio, 8 hours a day, developing how to make the game. So there was we didn't there was nobody else there. It was just John and I, because we didn't have any idea how to create the game. We were just filming stuff, looking at stuff, realizing that different things, realizing like, camera distance or the lighting was only overhead, so we only had limited space to do movements, how to capture movements cleanly, using different, just whatever we had in the studio, trying to just develop the game. And I was there to help all the other actors, like make sure that each character was unique, so that way not trying to figure out ways to make it look a little different, so that way each character would look not the same, like a cookie cutter, besides having a special move being their only unique technique, so that way they all look, everything would look a little bit different. So I took care of that in 1 and 2 to make sure of that. So so then he's like, don't worry, they're going to give you a bonus. Then they were going to take it home, and I asked them, hey, nobody ever said anything about home, and they're like, don't worry, they're going to give you a bonus. So when we were almost done with number 2, I asked them, hey guys, so we're going to get number 2. I haven't seen any money yet, for this. And so they were, then I got a letter from not a letter, but a call from one of the guys one of the higher ups, and there, and said, hey, do you have anything in writing? And I was just like, no, I didn't have anything in writing. Everything was just verbal, don't worry, because it was, and I just figured they would be true to their word, but apparently they were going to hold out and keep all the money. So then I was like, I'm not going to, there's no way I can do a 3, because, you guys are, taking ideas and stuff like that I came up with to help create the game, and so after that, I just left.
Aww.
Yeah, but just a lesson for everyone out there. If you go, if you're going to do a big project or even a project, look for legal advice. So sometimes even like, your friend can't help you, who helped you get in. I'm still to this day friends with John, because I really think that he probably couldn't do anything. Probably wouldn't be working in the industry if he probably stood up for us and got what we what a lot of the other characters created, and to an example, like "get over here" is a big phrase. Yeah. The guy who played Kano, Rich DeVizio, actually came up with that phrase, and so they use it today, and he never gets any credit for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know, like, a lot of things that can in the game weren't, were created by other people. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm just looking at the comments here. Boris wants to know what you thought of Christopher Lambert to play Raiden.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous of Carlos. And because I'm a Christopher Lambert, I'm a Highlander fan. So when I found out that Christopher Lambert was going to act like my brother, I was just like, oh my God, you're so flippin' lucky, because at that time, in the 90s, that is, he is hot, it's a freaking famous guy,
Yeah.
All the other actors were not as well known, so, so the Johnny Cage from the movie, or the Scorpion from the movie, or the Sub-Zero from the movie acting like me is not such a big deal. But for Christopher Lambert to be acting like my brother is a really, really big deal. I'm so jealous. I am really, really jealous.
I mean, I love Highlander, and I think Christopher Lambert, like his lines, just in he brought another level to that film.
Yeah, I think he did pretty well. you know.
When they started making, when Anderson was was in the works of making the movie, did they contact you at all?
I think we got in. They tried to entice us a little bit to sign like an agreement to release our image and IP, intellectual property. They tried to give us originally my contract was like 3 paragraphs.
Wow.
And it states I'm going to make a coin operated video game. So that's why, when you look at my contract, that's what it says. They're hiring me to act in a coin operated video game. So it doesn't talk about any ideas or anything like that. And it's 3 paragraphs. So when I said no, when I asked them about that and had that brief conversation with one of the higher ups of Midway, they sent me like a 5-page contract. And when I took it to a lawyer, they were just like, the lawyer was like, they want you to sign away all your rights to everything.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, I'm not signing it. I'm not going to do that. But it's just what it is. It's lesson learned. Yeah. But Terry, you're right. Christopher Lambert, I can't express it enough. He was just freaking awesome to have that, to be in there, that movie. Like, yeah.
I love the movie for what it was. The second one, not so much, but the movie was great. Although I still think that Linda Hamilton would have been better as Sonya Blade.
I thought they should have had like a little bit more blood in it. And like I was saying, we met with the producer of the movie. We filmed some fight scenes for him. Two, I took pictures of what I find funny. I took pictures when we were making Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. And so a lot of the still frames that you see in the movie are actually pictures that I put characters together for the video game and took behind the scene pictures. So they actually took my picture that I lined up and had the guys do, and then they put it in the movie, but with the actors with the actors. So it was just like, when I see it, I'm like, hey, those are the pictures I took. You guys use that as reference. That's not cool, So it's pretty fun. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Are you friends with Robin and who played Liu Kang and Chris who played Scorpion? Do you know?
Yeah, I know them. I used to funny. I went to do stunts for Jackie Chan in Drunken Master 2. So it's like I get into town and there's a time difference. So Ho Sung was in that movie too, and we're going out. It's about 2:00 in the morning. I can't sleep. So Ho Sung's like, let's go get a cocktail. Because if you have a couple cocktails, you're going to fall right to sleep. And so we're walking into this bar and look who's walking out. Robin. It's like 2:00 in the morning in Hong Kong. And Robin's walking out and he sees Ho Sung and I, and he's like, hey, we're like, just like, hey, what's going on? And so it was pretty funny. So yeah. So again, and then Chris, I just had an Instagram live chat with me and Chris, just goofing around. We talk like for an hour just about just stuff in general. So those guys are awesome. And Chris is awesome. Same thing with Keith Hirabayashi, as Keith Cook, I think, because he doesn't want anybody to brutalize his name. But yeah, he's an awesome guy. Those guys are all awesome guys.
Yeah. Being a fan of martial art films and martial arts in general, I mean, there's a lot of people that I followed, being an 80s child. So like everything action was like, either a martial arts film or, like Lethal Weapon or something like that. So like one of my favorite action movies that is also a martial arts film is American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I actually just picked up that Blu-ray from Olive Films, and it looks good on Blu-ray actually. So like, what are some of your like favorite martial art films and, people that work in film that is a martial artist, like a legit martial artist?
Yeah. Well, naturally I like all the old Kung Fu movies, like 5 Deadly Venoms, 36 Chambers. Those that really inspired us during the game. If you really kind of there's certain things in the game where we're like, oh yeah, that's 5 Deadly Venoms. We pulled that from 5 Deadly Venoms. We pulled that from 36 Chambers. We pulled that from different kung fu movies. You know, not only Big Trouble in Little China, but all these other little tidbits and tributes to it. Like we wanted to have the X-rays in the first game as a tribute to Fist of the North Star, an anime, a Japanese anime. So we wanted to have like little tributes here and there in the game. But you know, naturally, I love Donnie Yen's work. Love Jet Li's work. Leland J's work is really good. Tony Jaa. You know, I forget the guy's name. The guy from the Raid. There's a bunch of really cool, moving, great ideas in the game. And I mean in the Raid. You know, Raid Redemption. So there's some out there. You know, and I think you know, for me, I really enjoy seeing that work more than, you know, the actors pride themselves on, oh, I do my own stunts. You know, well, you don't really do your own stunts if you're, you know, with all the safety precautions. You know, I'm hoping that more martial artists will get into acting, and that because they add something to the film when you could see physically, especially with people now. You can do, you know, people now are educated. They know, like, oh, that guy really knows martial arts. Oh, that guy is not so good at martial arts, but the movie is cool. You know.
Yeah, like, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. You know, you get a lot of these, you know, actors because that's what they want in the role.
Yeah. Oh, that's money. Yeah.
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 I mean, if you look at people like Michael J. White and Wesley Snipes, who are legit martial artists,
yeah, they do good.
They're really good too.
Yeah, I like their work. You know.
Yeah, and Mick's not with us because Mick actually worked on Blade.
Oh, cool.
And I would have loved to hear some stories from that movie.
Yeah, and you know, I know Michael J. White did the what was it, Mortal Kombat Legacy, or what? There was a YouTube series.
Yeah.
Man, was that the name?
Yeah, it was.
But that was good.
Mortal Kombat Legacy. Yeah,
yeah. I think Chris might have been in that. I think Chris Casamassa might have been in that too.
And having Jerry Ryan play Sonya Blade was just incredible.
Yeah, it was really good. I thought that, for me personally, I like the darkness of it. I always thought, you know, the movie should have been more dark, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know the new movie is supposed to be more like the game that they're working on
good.
now.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Hopefully it turn out good.
They have,
my fingers crossed, keeping everything crossed, you know?
I believe his name is Ludi Lin. He was in the Power Rangers remake, the 2017. He played Zap, the Black Ranger. He's going to be in the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Good.
And he also is a martial artist.
Yeah, but I'm all for if it's a martial art movie, you should have a martial artist in it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man. Do you have a favorite, like, that is like totally your favorite film?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner?
Yeah. I really, as far as that, I like Blade Runner. As far as martial arts, no, because it's all really, it's the whole genre. You know, I'm such a martial artist that I will pay even for the bad movies, you know, just to support them. I'll be like, okay, if I see a martial art movie, I'll rent it or go to the theater just to see it, even though it might not look great, just to kind of support that industry of another martial artist doing a film, you know. So I'm kind of just, you know, when I'm watching martial art movies, mostly I just tune out the story and kind of look at and to see what's happening with the action.
Yeah. What do you think of like certain fight scenes? Like, what was it, Daredevil season 1? The staircase scene that was like, and I think they did, what was it? I think it was season 2. Yeah, season 2 was the prison fight scene.
Yeah, those turned out really, really good. They played on a lot of old, like, you can see the inspiration because I watched so many movies. I could see, and I love that the fight scenes in Daredevil, and you can see where they pulled their inspiration, because again, you're pulling inspiration from past genre, because that's who, in the end, that's who made us creative, or whatever creativity. You know, we took our own and added it to something else that was out there. and that's as creative people, you do that. You have yours, but something always inspires you.
Yeah. There's so many, like, with the Marvel films, or even the TV shows, like Iron Fist did an awesome job when it came to fighting. Not so much story, but I just enjoyed the fighting aspect of it. And even with Kill Bill, like, those movies, just amazing fight scenes.
Yeah. So yeah, some of them, yes, some like for me, Iron Fist. Like I saw a little bit of fighting beforehand, and then I didn't watch the series because I didn't think it was that great. For me, I was just like, I can't watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's because they got an actor doing the fight scenes, and for some reason it just didn't for me.
Yeah.
Do that, but it's everybody has, you should. It's still cool to get out there and just, have what you want. It's still Iron Fist too. I am a big Iron Fist fan because again, Johnny Cage originally was going to be modeled after Daniel Rad from Iron Fist, and until later on when we threw in a little bit of Jean-Claude Van Damme. But yeah, so it's those comic series are awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of another comic series that is going to be a movie, which is
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the casting of that, and I'm like, wow, man, they got some good people to play in that. I really can't wait to see that film.
Yeah, hopefully they'll in the end, it's like the direction. Hopefully somebody who's a fan will get to put their input. A lot of times you have just people who are not a fan of it trying to recreate it because they're not a fan, and so sometimes the movie doesn't hit because if you're really a fan of it, you're going to get really close to what the fans of it want to see. Otherwise, right. If you get a new idea, you're going to change the character. It's kind of like, holy cow, it's going to be. Sometimes it's disappointing. So
yeah,
that's what. Hopefully they'll get some ideas from fans.
It's funny that you bring it up because that's what next week's episode is about. We're doing comic graphic novel adaptations, and be talking about stuff that what works and what doesn't, and how close to the source material you have to be to make them work. So that's going to be a fun episode.
Nicole's checking on us.
Oh yeah, she just got home and she's having her lunch in the room with the boys. Yeah, but we talked earlier on the phone and we talked about a really good fight scene, which you think is like the cream of the top, and that's Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee.
Yeah, that's so inspirational. Two in the Coliseum, gladiator style, just going at it. It's again, for me, it was just to watch that at that time, go to the movie theater. I mean, I must have watched that film in a movie theater at least 30 times. I paid 30 times for that movie, but yeah, just to see that, it was such a good, not only the fight scene, just the way it was filmed and the intent and the philosophy, and both of them are really having respect for each other. But only it's like a real martial art. What happens in real martial art, traditional martial art? In the end, only one can stand. There's no I give up or anything like that. If you give up, you're hoping for a quick death and merciful death. As a traditional martial artist, it's not a sport. It's not something to be played with. So that's really an inspiring scene to watch.
Yeah. Do you know much about how they filmed that? I mean, because I know Bruce Lee was pretty fast. I don't know how fast Chuck was. I mean, did Chuck actually keep up?
Well, Chuck is a world champion, so I'm sure that he's really, really fast. Being a world champion and competing against other guys too. I think he was heavyweight, so you've got to be fast and hit hard. So they probably, when you watch it, it's pretty cool just to watch them, because too, when they're doing their techniques, they don't really have like a tell. They don't, when they're doing techniques, everything is really, when they're punching, everything's really smooth, and you could be like, oh, a lot of them, just by the simple movement, you could tell that, oh man, these guys would hurt you in a fight. Toasty, we got a toasty. You should have said toasty.
I know, like, for instance, like Jet Li, he's really fast. I don't know if it was true, but I hear a lot of people talking like they were telling him that he had to slow down so the camera could, catch his movements.
Yeah, I could see that. Or too, again, he, professional martial artist, that was his job to work out. So being like that, or Donnie Yen is pretty fast too. They look good, and they're really fat. They look pretty good, That's awesome. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's quarantine. Everybody's stuck at home. What can you do?
Yeah. Hopefully everybody's, again, not to get on the wagon. Naturally, since his big brother does it, he has to do it too. So I'm the same way. But hopefully everybody's washing their hands, wearing your mask when you go outside. My parents are old. I'd like to keep them around, and other people's parents are old, and we should all be considerate of each other. I mean, that's my 2 cents.
So, what is it that you are doing there in Chicago? You have a school and you do some training? Yeah,
right. I teach martial arts. So you can reach out to me at Master Pesina on almost any social media. Like on Facebook, it's Master Pesina. Instagram, it's Master D Pesina. I just started TikTok just to kind of see what's out there, which is a crazy world. It's really entertaining. I could see on TikTok how you can spend hours and hours because you're just laughing. I'm just laughing all the time. I'm just like, boom, boom. I got to put it down. Otherwise, you could really get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Teaching martial arts is what I love to do,
What kind of classes are you teaching? I've seen some of the, the whole weapon stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, I do. Like, I guess in the end, it gets everybody working out, I think, a little bit more. I know 28 different weapons, like actually different.
Wow.
Yeah, so not the same weapon doing it over and over again, with a different object in your hand. I actually know the principles of 28 different weapons besides a few different styles. So, just teaching that. It shifted to online, got some online clients, but usually for martial art classes in Chicago, have a couple a week. I usually just work on privates, like one-on-one. I really like that because then I could just focus on what the needs of the one person is, whether they want to do a performance or they want it for history, or if they want it actually for combat.
Nice. What I'm curious now. What are the 28 weapons? What are some of the weapons?
Well, you have your basic, like with the program, we start out with staff, we go to broadsword, we go to it's called a horse cutter. In the old days, they used to cut off legs of horses that are charging after you. Then there's double broadswords. There's 3-sectional rope dart, which is Scorpion's weapon, and traditionally it's used to pull horsemen off their horses. And later on, when there was not so much warfare, it got to be a more personal secret weapon. And then there's meteor hammer. There's judge's pen, which is like it looks like a calligraphy brush, but it's really got a metal tip that they usually poisoned with, and the end is like a little steel ball, like a hammer, so they can kind of use it like that. Deer horns, harvest moon, so a lot. Two-handed sword, single-handed sword, ghost head sword. There's all these crazy weapons that people, hook swords that Cabal uses. So there's in the Chinese martial arts, there's a really lot of weapons because it's just a lot of people practicing martial arts back in the day.
Is there a discipline that you are not trained in that you would like to be trained in? Or start learning? Or, I mean, do you know pretty much everything that's out there?
It's not, I don't know everything that's out there, but I have I studied, actually, Boris, I do not know rapier, but I understand when I look at rapier, I see similar techniques with two-edged sword. So you know, and a lot of weapons have like their cross, you know, because there's only a certain way to use a weapon, you know, to make it efficient for combat. So it's like that. But anyway, so it's just like I really have the things I like. Like in China, they're split into three regions. There's northern, southern, and northwestern. So I really like, as an external style, I really like the northwestern systems. Fan which is tumbling fist, and Piqua, which is like axe hitch fist, which is one of the oldest Chinese martial arts. The guys used to practice it wearing armor. So that way they're fighting with their armor on. So you're literally getting crushed to death with armor. So it's pretty cool. It's really, really cool.
Wow.
So, and then I really love the art of Bagua Zhang. I learned this really kind of dying Yin Fu hard palm, which is very different than what you see on when you see Bagua videos. So it's the art of walking while striking. So you're constantly moving and darting while striking, which is pretty challenging. But again, when you master that, it's really hard to get hit.
Terry says drunken master.
yeah. Actually, that's the drunken master. Pull out the whiskey. Is it too early to pull out the whiskey?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, but wow, it's been so great having you on, and with all your weapon training and everything that you've done, it looks like if there's a zombie apocalypse, we need to come to you to learn to defend ourselves, right?
Yeah. And my weapon of choice for a zombie apocalypse is double broadsword, because it's not and two, when you learn to use your body with it to make centrifugal force off your body and to use your body as a lever. So literally with two broadswords, you can really, and a little strategy, you can really handle 50, 60 zombies coming at you.
Good
so,
to know.
You heard it here, folks.
And me as a geek, I thought of that. I thought of that. Well, if zombies were like this, you'd have to funnel them through here, and you kind of have to go forward, attack some, cut some up, and then back up, so the next one will trip over that and take them out and back up again, but eventually reroute them. And I have a whole like zombie strategy. But naturally, you would need about 4 years of double broadsword practice to pull this off. But I got it.
Well, I guess I know where I'm going to get my broadsword training. So, Willow, before we end the show, do you have any final things for Master Pesina?
I'm just in awe of being able to be in this interview. You guys pretty much touched on everything. So when it came to coming up with the characters for Mortal Kombat and their storylines, like, what was it? Just you and your brother doing all this, all the ideas, or
mostly John was like the lead. John Tobias was like, it was his child, his creation. So he was really always like looking for the best, like what would look cool. He would be always asking, "Hey, what looks cool, or what would look cool? Let me take a look at that. Let's that." So we did more of the physical things that you see, like the rope dart, the Scorpion's weapon. Originally, we started taking other ideas, like that was the 4th and 5th character we did. So people would be stopping by and giving us ideas. So somebody came up with the idea of having a lasso over their head, and I throw it over, and they get tied up, and then I get to punch them while they're tied up. And so I was just like, well, that's like Wonder Woman. It'd be cooler. And then I was like, it'd be cooler if we had rope dart, because it's used to pull you over. So again, that's where that rope dart came from. Like, and then I had one naturally in my bag, and I showed John how to this thing, and he's like, "Oh, let's do that." And then when I was doing that, Rich the video yelled, "Get over here!" And then then you uppercut them. And so the creation was really that we would like start with one thing, and we would go to the next thing. Like again, like Scorpion. Originally, John was like, "Oh, I want you to blow fire with Scorpion." And then I told John goofing around, I was like, just like, because we were just always goofing around. I was like, no, I can't do that. Because if I do that, blow fire, my mask will be on fire and my whole head will be on fire. And then John was like, pull the mask down. And then again, Rich DeVito Kano was there at the time. He was like, it'd be cool if he pulls his mask off and it's a skeleton. And then I was like, oh, and his head's on fire. So a lot of the creation in the game was all for the first one. For the first one was like that. You know, we start with one idea and we throw another idea on top of it until we had the idea. So it was just like,
it was like throwing a dartboard, right?
Yeah.
You know,
So,
see what sticks.
So though the characters were like, oh, this is what the character looks like, the moves into it. Like, you know, when Sonya was getting hers, John was like, you got to think of something cool for a fatality. And I was like, oh, we got to do the kiss of death, you know, where you would do that. And so all of a sudden we were doing the kiss of death for Sonya. So, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So just coming with ideas or two, or like, and then when I showed Liz what to do, I want you to do this kiss of death. And Liz looked at me and she was like, why do I have to kill them? Why can't we just be friends? Why can't I just give? And she's like, why can't I just give them a flower and we could all be friends?
Well, there's your friendships.
And so the first game is where the idea of a friendship really came out. And then, you know, then later on she gives them a flower as a friendship, because that's what for me, you know, the original characters will always be the original characters. You can hire an actor to do that character and add to that character, but in the end, the guys who did it first are the real characters.
Yeah, I always loved Johnny Cage signing the autograph.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
Yeah, John came up with that. Yeah. I had to actually sign a piece of paper, and I kind of took my time to kind of change the writings, because I was like, oh, I don't want people to like do my exact handwriting, you know, for some reason.
We have one last question from Boris for you.
Oh, about the Batle. There's the Chinese have the Harvest Moon is a weapon that's very, very similar to that. So yes, I do that weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm going to have to end this show before my kids get crazy, but I'm going to keep you guys in the studio afterwards. But once again, thank you for joining Reels and Heels. And Master, where can people find you?
Yeah, so again, they could on Facebook, I'm Master Pesina, Instagram, Master D Pesina, TikTok, Master D Pesina. Twitter is just Master Pesina. You can email me at masterpesina@gmail.com. I'm out there.
All right.
That's awesome.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. And as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, right here on Facebook and YouTube. Just look up Reels and Heels. Until next week, take care.
Get over here.
You turned off.